What can I say about obsessions, compulsive behaviors, people acting in ways that are not necessarily easily understandable by the others, and probably even why society seems to fetishize everything? Well, fetishism means something slightly different than what people may expect. See, a fetish is something used in witchcraft. You can also call it a focus, yes? And that's why in English, which is an occult language, you have obsession, yes? Obsession is a tremendous focus on something. Surely it can be done in an unconscious way, or it can be done in a conscious way, which can be extremely dangerous. Because your focus is technically the seat of your power. Based on how focused you are, you can solve certain things. Yes? If you want a glimpse of this, look at ADHD people. Now, still, I am not certain that ADHD is a real thing. Most likely, it is a newly invented term for either a new agenda that has to service people and classify them in even more terms, or for something that people are on the edge and still have not discovered anything and are just reading patterns. When you look at those people, usually they feel like, their mind is trashy. They can never seem capable of attaching to a point and following it, yes? And once they get focused on something, be it for even a short period of time, they can achieve it way faster. Yes, that is a proof of how powerful your focus can be. In witchcraft and occultism and the such, a focus is extremely important. Typically, the incantations that you have are needed for that. Yes, because they exude a certain energy, a certain state, almost even a trance state, where you are focusing on something. And typically, the focus, or the fetish, as some people call it, is the object or set of objects that you make use of. Yes, since we live in a death cult society where people have to die so that others feel pleased, everything in such a narcissistic society has to be imposed on everyone else. In a ritualistic society, similar to that which we live in, everything is a ritual. A ritual means using of a certain energy in order to obtain something, and you do it repetitively. Yes? And then you have fetishes, which are certain objects of concentration. Similar to how you can cause voodoo. Yes, you make use of a certain, you don't need a doll necessarily or something to look like that person that is made in such a way in movies to, in a way, make people try to understand easier. Yes, all you need is an object that has the person's energy, and you make use of the energy within that object to locate the person in real time if you want to spy on them, or to simply transmit that energy, something, so that you deal them harm. Yes, you never do voodoo to help someone from afar because technically it is the same hideous interaction. You're using your own energy to interact with someone else's energy. This draws a lot of horrible karma in one's life, but well, so on and so forth. So a sick society's purpose is to exploit everything that you have as a lack, while at the same time making sure that all your previous generations have each gone through traumatic experiences that will make them entrench themselves even more in their lacks, in their misaccomplishments, yes, in dense emotions, while at the same time the sick society is also getting you prepared for your own traumatic experiences, so that to make sure when you're going to have your own newer generations, you're simply going to transmit them the same traumas that you have received. And each and every new generation is technically has to be strong enough, at least some individuals, to simply break some of those karmic barriers. Why society hates enlightened people, truly enlightened people? Why society hates people who can focus? Because if someone can focus enough and they can do daily rituals in which they pray for the world, everyone will benefit from that. See, that is the great power of spirituality, and why everyone sick in this society wants people to be down, drained, feeling dead inside, because it is enough that a few candles burn and the others can also be lit up. A sick society's great fear. What is it? Well, it is very simple. It's real. Well, the realization of its denizens that you do not need it. Yes, when its inhabitants realize that they actually don't need the society and they themselves are enough to form a new society, which hopefully will bring them more benefit. Now, when it comes to behaviors and the such, obviously fetishism will exist when it comes to the sexual standpoint. Why? Because a sick society can easily or the easiest control people through their sexual necessities. What are religions and other cultural aspects in ignorance other than new means to propel the so called ignorance? Yes? Everything will be used against you because that's how narcissists and certain kinds of apathic people function by. They will turn everything that you have against you because they themselves don't make use of that. So they automatically discard it as some kind of hideousness, as some kind of shame and guilt. And since they shame and guilt trip themselves a lot, especially narcissists, they end up with loops in their heads where those voices that they created constantly pull themselves down, because a narcissist is someone who has repeated enough the quotes that they heard from other people or that they themselves imagined when they did not achieve the high expectations and unhealthy expectations that they usually have. Yes, and in time these people propel or project their own points of view on the others. So it becomes imperative for such hideous people to control society. Yes, and they control it through their own lacks. They impose their own lacks on everyone else. And sex is the greatest pleasure that ignorance will allow themselves to experience. And the only one, because it is the easiest one. And you'll never see ignorant people take responsibilities for their life. All they want is something that makes them feel good, and that's it. Yes? That's why you have so many people, afraid even of having a relationship. Even when you look at so called communion, yes, that's how I call sex. The point is, if you do it unconsciously, you will have people who will do it even through what do they call them? I call them mating apps. Funnily speaking, they find themselves some random person. They get freaky a bit, and then they all leave because they're too afraid of commitment. Yes, commitment requires a lot of responsibilities, which you will not see ignorance want to pursue. So, in life, see, there are people, for example, who will treat you with their back. A lot of men probably know that they are dealing with the wrong kind of woman, and the woman usually treats them with their back. And the person asked me in that Discord group, they asked me, why is it that she does that? See, we have to understand a certain point about the psyche. See, if someone is treating you with their back, it's either that they don't want to deal with you, but for some reason they need you. Yes, so technically you are nothing but a tool. Typically, when people have issues, mommy issues, daddy issues, everything around them becomes a tool. Yes, you are a tool to help them experience and hopefully realize by themselves why they are manifesting like that. Some people are not aware at all. Yes, they are fully oblivious to why they function like that. Some people are aware, but they're not interested in doing anything to solve that because it's also their comfort zone. Some people are knowledgeable of that, but they're trying to figure out, and they might even seek help in trying to figure out why those things happen. And then there are those who enter relationships specifically to try to find someone who can deliberately help them surpass some of their problematic experiences and some of their issues. Yes, while leaving a little anchor just as a reminder, but typically they seek to mostly deal with their so called issues. Yes, once you understand these four archetypes of people with issues, then you can move on. See, someone who treats you with their back can also speak of abandonment. Yes, usually it speaks of that. But at the same time, being treated with their back means that they want to be vulnerable, but they don't necessarily know how. See, people with issues, all of them are compulsive people. For them, the only thing important is control. They obsess about control. They relish control. When you look at fucked up women, they have a very simple mechanic. There's nothing complex or complicated or intricate in that. It's just that you're not willing to invest time into understanding that because probably you're also tired and probably your tiredness is also tired as well. So when it comes to those people, they fetishize control. Their mechanic with many fucked up women is like this. They want you to act their own way, and when you don't, they're gonna punish you for that. Yes, they're gonna do whatever they wanted you to do, and they're gonna disallow you from doing that. Yes, it's a perpetual ritual of rejection, much like what they feel in their life. If you want to deal with such a behavior, you simply let them act and react in their own little circus, because it is not for you to simply act as well. If you really care about that person, let her act in her misery and whatever else. And if she sees that you're not giving in to her little circus or big circus, whatever it is, simply she will melt in time. Yes? You will meet all sorts of aggressive women who will become so if you don't act the way they want. Just stare them and let them do whatever they are doing. If they try to destroy something or if they want to hit you, the easiest thing to deal with that is just try to immobilize their arms. Yes, they will shout, they will yell, they will whatever, just immobilize their arms. And typically, they will give in because some will be fucked up enough to use this as an innuendo. Some will simply rage even more. If they rage even more than that, you are safe to leave that person behind because whatever lies in those are issues that you will not be able to deal with. Maybe someone with a great understanding, like a psychiatrist, but it will take so much time to fix those. In most situations, it is best to call them unfixable and move on. Yes? If you constantly try to pin them down and it doesn't work, it even makes them feel even worse. The problem is that they need the safety of someone to live by, so technically you're just a tool, but at the same time, they will never be willing to invest time and closeness, most importantly, closeness with either you as a different gender or either you of the same gender, if we are talking about a couple that is of the same gender. Yes, that person is safe to live by. Yes, the moment you turn your back, you will see that they will start obsessing about you. Why? Because you were just a tool, not because they liked you. If they truly liked you and they were conscious of the fact that they are a wreck, they would have let you go, because if they truly cared about you and they knew that they cannot be fixed, they would leave you be, because most likely they will feel good at least when you find someone of your own caliber. Yes, that's another archetype of people. There are people like that. You'd be surprised even some narcissists function like that. There are narcissistic people who will tell you beforehand that they are fucked up and that they truly wish that you would find someone better. But since some people have to experience their own lessons in life, well, then they will simply still embrace the narcissist, and, well, harm will happen. Some people have to experience life like that. Some people are into roughing up or being roughed up because what is this physical body other than a vessel for you to understand things, to experience life, right? Because in the end, if this physical body gets broken, the part of you that truly is will go on. Yes? You will find this point presented in the Illuminati symbol. What is that? The eye within the pyramid. What is the eye significant of? Well, some people will say that the obsession for them to know everything about the world. That can also be a point. But the true representation, the true meaning of that symbol, is the fact that the eye is the representative of the soul. Yes. When you look in sociology, in psychology, what do they say? The eyes, the gaze of a person, yes, is the window to their soul. Similarly, in occultism, the eye is the symbol of the soul. Or let's not call it the soul, let's call it the viewer. Yes, that which you truly are, beyond all your expectations, attachments, and all the stupid people's points of view that infected your mind and made you live life and embrace it as if it can only be like that. Yes? You are just an observer. That is the point of the eye, because it speaks of a wisdom almost as wise and broad as the cosmos itself. Once someone can view life without any attachment, that is when true enlightenment happens. Yes, that is what that I stands for. And then the pyramids. Well, the pyramid has a four line base, which is a representative of structure. Yes, it is a representative of creating a healthy boundary. Yes, to protect that I, to protect the traveler. Because when you deal with occultism only deals with energy. Energy is contagious. Energy can be dangerous if not used wisely. Yes. Now, obviously, symbols can be corrupted. Their meaning can be changed because how you service a symbol is not necessarily by its original meaning. You can create a meaning of your own and then invest into it and create certain constructs. Yes, there are tulpas, there are golems, there are all sorts of constructs that you can create. Now, back into the behaviors. See, someone who treats you with their back maybe is significant, maybe a pinpoint of parents being absent in their life. But someone treating you with their back can even be used as an innuendo, can be used by a woman to present a aspect of sensitivity. Yes, because you have to understand, women's psychology has two vulnerable points in their front part of their body. That is their breasts, because they are easily reachable, accessible, and at the same time, they can be a part, well, they are a part that is almost self erotic. At times, it can happen that, when they move their arms around, they can bump into their own breasts, which can be, well, not necessarily enticing or erotic, but they might not necessarily mind it. Yes, it is something that they get used to. Bumping into certain objects and the such can be a point. At the same time, if they're in a relation with you, they can be used in such a way that, they are a trigger point. They are the woman, the girl will be, let's put it like that, doing certain innuendos or things like that. They will accidentally bump into things with their breasts, or probably they will bump them against you. So that is a very sensitive part of their body. Yes. The second part is located below the base of their neck and above their breasts. You see this typically presented a lot in anime, where the female characters always place a certain arm specifically in there, right? It's a means through which they present both a sensitivity and partly a protection. Yes, by protecting that part, they also project your attention to their breasts, more or less, or to that part of theirs below the throat, which, from a certain standpoint, is very important. Highly sensitive people, from a certain standpoint, me included, usually have 3 points that they focus, at least unconsciously, when it comes to other people. First and foremost, it will be their crutch, because that's where the Muladhara chakra is, or technically the part of survival. People with a lot of issues will have a dense, I don't know how to put it. It's like a haze that exists there, and it will draw the attention of unconscious people. Yes? And such people, me included, will feel like they're deliberately looking in there. Yes? It's some people's issues and whatever they might have, even ancestral karmic structure. Yes? Unrealized ideals of shame and guilt. Yes? Shame and guilt, as of what I read, seem to usually be dancing up around the kidneys, around the um, hip area. Yes. So people with such issues might draw my attention unconsciously there. There are people who have then the second pillar of stability, which I call, is the place exactly there that I said about girls, the place in between the breasts and obviously the throat. Now, the heart chakra is said to be somewhere around the breasts, because it is in somewhere the middle, right? Where your esophagus would be, or where your spine would be, and like speaking about that line, and then your throat chakra is far above. This place of sensitivity that I'm talking about is somewhere in between those two as a region, but it seems to have a center exactly in between those 2 points. Yes, the heart chakra and the throat chakra. And shaming and guilting, self guilt and guilt tripping from other people will always hit somewhere, both in the heart and the throat, or somewhere, or either one of those. Both or either. You will see that a lot of people will have issues in there, and for me, that's usually the place that almost instantly draws my attention, because a lot of people have issues accepting themselves for what they are, accepting their body for what they are. This is something that I've met in all the girls that I have seen, whether I've discussed with them or not. This is something so prevalent, it's like 99% of the women. Hence why my sight is almost always instantly drawn by that region. Some people, some girls might think that I'm hooked up to their cleavage. Well, I don't mind admiring beauty, but typically that is the point. And since I revel in observing life, studying it, and behavioral patterns and the such, that is a way for me to simply feed on some of that energy to get a understanding of that person. Someone like that, if a girl covers that part, typically they play, partly in some cases they might play an innocent role. Yes, they want to draw your attention, they show themselves in a way as sensitive. When they cover that part, it's like they may not like their voice. Now, remember, this is not something general. Yes, this is something that applies to some people. They may either dislike their voice, uh, or they don't feel too good about their body, or they might be interested in romanticism. They might like the idea of touch. It might hint at you, especially if you know her for a long period of time, you've been together for a long time. They might hint you indirectly that they're feeling uncomfortable in the current place that they are. Yes, because you have to understand, many women are unconsciously very sensitive to their environment. Yes, and that is a point. And when they cover a certain part of their body, typically they don't like, maybe even it can go as far as them not liking the general atmosphere or what people are talking, because a woman that is very sensitive does not want harmful energies around her. Yes, that is why sensitive women, you will usually not see them leave home too often, or when they do, you will see that they have certain paths that they follow. Typically, they go in their own gardens, or they go for a jog in the forests, or things like that. Yes, typically they avoid the crowds. Now, that also can be used as a means of attraction, because, they point themselves as very sensitive. Yes, if a girl feels horny, that specific surface of their body can be very sensitive to touch. It can also be a gesture through which they might feel horny a bit. The wind is blowing and they want to cover that part because they don't want to, feel aroused by the chilly wind. Don't forget, chills can be very arousing, yes? And just because that person is a girl, it doesn't mean that they are not horny. It's just that women learn to hide their horny a bit more because, there's a lot of hatred against women, and obviously women will pay a great attention on other women, and they will try to ruin any moment that they will dislike. Yes, just like Karens hate on other women, mainly and primarily they hate on other women. Yes, when you look at how things go in the West, you see that a lot of games portray somewhat horrible characters. Yes, just so that they can please the Karens that they seek to please. Yes, because nowadays you speak about stupid inclusion. Yes, inclusion has to be done in a certain way, not by simply pleasing people, because when you please others, yes, that is a big issue in society. When you please others, you're showing that you are worthless, that you don't have any value, that you're going to be there at any given moment, at any given point in time. Yes, that is a big problem, because you show yourself as boring, and that is why many girls will simply leave you. Yes, many people have this point where they want someone to either dominate them, yes, or to simply be submissive. This is probably the typical fetishization in society, which, well, even movies kind of put a great emphasis on. Now, people who want to be controlled are usually devious people who want to be in control. I've stated in many videos before that the master is the slave and the slave is the master. Because typically, when someone wants to be dominated, they want to be in control, but in a either inclusive way or more like feminine energy approach, or they want to be in control and study you in like from a narcissistic perspective. How? Because how can people study you if they are afar? It's not hard, but if they are close, they can do it much better. How to know if someone is obsessed with you, or well, you are part of their agenda, not necessarily that they are obsessed with you, but probably they need you. They usually stare at you, and they will blink very rarely. Surely, blinking can differ from different archetypes of people. There are some people who are very sensitive to their environment and they will blink less because they will absorb energies. So they will look at anything, they will admire life. You know, some pantheistic people will not blink too much because they are drawn by the beauty around them. Yes? There are people who, for example, are obsessed or crazed about their survival. These people will blink less because they are obsessed with their sight, with analyzing everything, the people around. Everyone is possibly a threat for them. Yes, these two, let's say, archetypes of people have to be taken into account as well. But the point is, typically, if people are obsessed with you, they will blink less. Yes, that also shows a certain amount of awareness. Because if people are fully ignorant, they will commit to anything without any regard towards anything that can harm them. That is why a lot of people end up maimed seriously or even killed by their own fetishistic cravings. Yes? And they might even end up in situations where their partner or partners are actually people who are obsessed about that. Yes, there's a reason why erotophonophilia, I think it's called, and the idea of eutassassinophilia are prevalent in society. Now, these two present an idea of a lack of attention, abandonment, and more important than that, more important than those two, the conviction that that person is worthless. When someone gets the conviction that they are worthless, they will fetishize the idea of being terminated, either sexually or simply irrelevantly, just someone walks by and stabs them or whatever. These are accurate psychological standpoints. I'm not sure why society bans these ideas and doesn't want people to become more aware. But, well, I bet it's because people who are not aware of their obsessions are easy to control. But being aware of your own obsession is a first step. Figuring out how to deal with it, how to solve it, that is the great challenge. Yes? And other people slip into the other side. If they feel worthless, then they feel whole life is worthless, so they become criminals. Some people end up killing only during intercourse. Some people end up killing in certain other environments, in certain other situations. Yes, because a lot of people nowadays feel a lack of everything, but most importantly, a lack of emotion. When they feel a lack of emotion, that is a big problem. Because the first thing that makes them feel a certain dense enough emotion, they will feel alive yet again. And they will obsess about that particular action or event. And they will seek to obsessively repeat it again and again and again until the problem is they will get used to it and it will start feeling boring and they will look for something else. Some people become even serial killers because things like that. Yes. And some people become like this, for example, because they were challenged by someone and they beat the crap out of that person and they finally felt alive. They finally felt in control. They finally felt superior. Yes. Someone asked me afterwards, what can I say about masturbation? Well, that is also a very prominent, I may say, aspect in society. It is very common because people who usually masturbate, there are now several layers to this. There are people who masturbate because of a certain fear, yes? In like with all other obsessions, there is a core that specifies that you are not prepared for a certain situation, you are not ready for something, or you are not worthy of anything at all. Typically, people use fetishes and things like that as an escape mechanism from life. They even may have dreams about certain creatures following them or looking at them from afar, but it's like that creature never reaches them. Yes, that is typically an indicative that a better version of you awaits, that you can simply evolve from that pupa of pain and misery that you have entrenched yourself in. And the fear of becoming someone new is very powerful in a lot of people. Why? Because they have made it their own comfort living the way they lived. Yes? So it's hard to break that comfort and embrace a new way of being. Yes? So masturbation is used by some people as a means to escape, because once they give up that energy within them, they cancel a certain ascension of their own energy. Ascension of own energy, for many people, especially the highly ignorant ones, is a great threat, because it feels like they will evolve, but they can't perceive evolution. It will feel like they are changing. And since they have invested all their energy into their own misery, into what they currently are, it feels like they will die if they will change. Yes, because their behaviors, everything is impregnated so much with their own energy. Giving up their current comfort feels like giving up limbs, feels like giving up their whole existence, and as if they will die. They are like the butterfly who is afraid of becoming one, yes, or better said, the larva that is afraid of, becoming a butterfly. So, to some people, it's like that. To some people, it is a means through which they cure themselves of certain frustrations, of certain energies. It's not a very optimized way, because by releasing energy, you also invite energy within your body, energy from your environments, and well, your environments might not necessarily be less toxic than you have become, because living in a toxic society obviously means that you will embrace a lot of toxic behaviors nonetheless. It doesn't mean that you'll become toxic yourself, but toxins will also exist in your behavior, and from time to time they might actually bubble up, and you might actually ruffle some feathers because of that. So when it comes to masturbation, there is also another kind of people who do it compulsively. Why they do that? And gooners also may fall into this. Well, gooners are not necessarily obsessed with admiring a pretty character. They are convinced entirely that they are not worthy of anything. Typically, it starts with not feeling worthy of the other gender's attention. Yes? And then it becomes even lower in awareness that you feel you are not worthy of anyone's attention. So, where this goes into an idea where masturbation is used as a punishment. Yes? You punish yourself for not fulfilling your unhealthy expectations. You punish yourself for almost each and every confirmation that people don't like you. Some of these people will talk to strangers. Strangers will probably not like them, because many strangers don't like talking to strangers. And these people will perceive it as yet another confirmation that they are not worthy of attention. It is something that hits extremely big. It is very deep rooted. And to many people, they might not transcend it during the current lifetime. They might even need more lifetimes to transcend such dense emotion. Yes, where if you look at it, the idea of diddling yourself has to be something which provides you a certain kind of pleasure. Yes, you can either do it compulsively, or you can do it from a more conscious approach to feel whatever sensations your body can give. Because in the end, shame and guilt will make you think that that is bad. Also, you have horrible religion telling you that it is bad to do either of those. Yes? It is bad from a certain standpoint, because when you do it unconsciously, well, you open yourself up to certain energies that are not, they are not compatible with you. They might even be harmful to you. But the problem is, religions never explain you that. Yes? So a lot of people slip on the opposite side because they have this childish curiosity. It all starts with a childish curiosity. We are all curious beings, because our point is not to live like a stupid religion tells you. Don't do anything because everything you do is bad. No, life is about exploration. That is why RPGs as a game genre hit people in a specific way, right? Because it's all about the idea of exploration and becoming better, which is technically the foundation of life. Yes? And in life, a lot of people unfortunately feel unworthy. So therefore, they will rely on their fetishes as a punishment, yes, for not feeling worthy. It's not that someone necessarily told them that. Maybe they were born correctly, they were raised correctly, but they picked on this from their surrounding environment or certain karmic structures, inheritance from their, well, ancestors, maybe kicked in suddenly. And this is what some people call the objective that you have in this current lifetime. Yes? You have to understand the observer that you are, the piece of life that you are, lives beyond your concepts, lives beyond your obsessions, lives beyond each and every one of your attachments. Yes? And these attachments will have an influence on this current lifetime and some slight influence on future lifetimes. And obviously, let's not forget that you will experience some of the things that influenced you in your previous lifetimes and also who influenced your ancestors in their own lifetimes as well. Because don't forget, you are born of a mother and father, and you also carry their ancestral karma as well. Yes, not only yours, but theirs as well. This is, I wouldn't call it a prize, because all animals live like that. Yes, that is why their instincts are so strong. Yes, you cannot pull an animal, a wild animal, out of their instincts much, because each and every new generation functions the same way that their previous generation functioned. Yes, you can look at all these animals, they have been almost the same for hundreds of millions of years. Yes, literally no evolution, probably slightly more acutization of their senses and the such, but other than that, nothing new. Yes, so different behaviors portray a lot of possible issues. I can talk about this for ages probably, and I don't want to create too lengthy videos, but each of these things portrays a certain necessity, or it can be a way through which someone wants to include you in their life. Yes, the feminine energy functions around including the other one in their life. Yes, so they will usually have a certain kind of ritualistic play. Yes, playing with objects, being vulnerable, portraying certain aspects. Yes, because at the same time they handle the necessity to study their partner. Yes, that's how also women function. Fucked up women are always obsessed about power. Yes, they need to do their own things because probably, or most probably, they had absent parents and more significantly, an absent father figure. Yes, by you not doing the things that she implies she wants you to do, almost obsessively wants you to do, even not actually obsessively, well, you're reminding her, or she is actually being reminded of the expectations that she had as a child of her parents, of other people who were supposed to take care of her, and she was met with nothing. Yes, so she will lash out, obviously, because her lashing out is the reminder that it's actually a very strong and correct one, that you have to take responsibility for your own life. But the woman will feel, those fucked up women will feel that they still have to be nurtured and others have to take responsibility for her because that's how life functions at a child level. These people are unfortunately fucked up, so they have not finalized their evolution as a child, psychologically speaking. Hence, why they will still childishly expect others to take care of them. But the problem is, they probably are aware, or usually not aware, of the fact that once you grow older, people will no longer take responsibility of you or for you because you're no longer a child. Now you are an adult, you can take care of yourself. Yes? So that is a point. As I said before, the way to deal with this is to simply not react. Because people who obsess about power, they are also going to feel bewildered by people who simply do not fall for their tricks, who do not fall for their necessities, who simply will not act in any way, shape, or form uh, by their own design. Yes? There will be a lot of fucked up people who will shout, who will cry at you, who will try to manipulate and distort your emotions and your perceptions of the life. If you can be the same that you have always been, for them it will be a bewilderment. And they will crave to be sensitive, vulnerable around you. Because finally they have met someone who is not going to judge them. Because let's not forget, fear of judgment is another great point in society. Yes? Overly judgmental people are people who usually ended up such. Not only because they were judged a lot by their parents, but because they are not feeling comfortable in the environment that they are in. Maybe they had to take care of other people who are probably stupid. And it even happened to me. I actually had to take care of people who gave me the impression that anytime they would forget even how to breathe. Yes? So they end up in this situation where they have to study everyone around them just so that they can figure out what lacks they have so that they can provide. Because these are some environments that some people live in. It's easy to say from the outside, well, stop doing that. But you're not going to have that awareness as a child. Yes? Or even as an adolescent. Because when you live in a certain environment, it will have a certain influence on you. Yes? So all these lacks will tell you a lot about the person. Yes? Their behaviors, their lacks, their necessities. Yes? And you can figure out certain things, but you have to invest a lot of time. That is why even psychology and psychiatry say, well, things like this, certain behaviors are treated as incurable, not because they are technically incurable, but because they will take way too much time. Yes? It all depends on how much the person invests in their own problem, in their own obsession, whatever it can be, right? Some people, for example, are obsessed with being, how to put it, negated certain things. Yes, that was something prevalent in their life. Their parents flaunting certain things that the child wanted, but never giving those things. Yes, using objects to have children do certain things in the expectation that they will receive those things. But parents will not give that because there are some fucked up parents like that. Such children will typically end up craving the idea of denial. Yes, maybe arousal denial, or maybe being promised things, yes, and never being fulfilled. You can see that, for example, in how people act from a certain point when it comes to politics. Yes, you can look at people that they love this idea of being promised certain things, but also at the same time never given those. That's why so many people love this kind of thing in politics, right? And a sick society excels at seeing that in people and repeating that because, well, a sick society can only control you by controlling your wounded inner child. Yes? This was one of the greatest realizations that I've had in my life. Yes? So people who love being denied, yes, uh, well, they might end up even suffering from this point in a sexual standpoint. Yes? They might end up craving things like chastity or someone to control their orgasms or someone to control their life. This is another way through which reverse control can be achieved. Or it can be a means through which someone completely gives up their power to someone else. It's not necessarily a craving of being dominated necessarily, it's just that they feel that their life is worthless enough, that they give their entire control to someone else. It's almost the same thing as with people who masturbate. They give up their energy willingly to feed whatever demons feed of it, or they just give up their energy because they're afraid of evolving or because of whatever else. You will find on the internet YouTube channels and all sorts of channels like that who promote the idea of embracing chastity and all sorts of things like this because those people obsess control. Typically, those accounts are led by women because, as I said, fucked up women are obsessing with control and obviously control of their partner, most specifically. Yes, they will lie to you about the point that if you give up your power and the such, you will be able to focus on other things. No, you will not be able to bypass your obsession for masturbation, for example, if you disallow yourself from diddling yourself. Yes? Because in the end, diddling yourself is the easiest way, the quickest way you found to simply bypass this obsession. Bypassing means you did not handle it specifically, correctly, but at least you removed that problem. Yes, you remove that problem from your life for a certain period of time until the cycle completes and starts yet again. And it starts bugging you off yet again. Disallowing your obsession gives other people way more control over you because, well, the very simple point is this: when you disallow someone's obsession from going on and from them experiencing their obsession, their mind will become even more perverted than that. Imagine that you love bomb a drunkard. You give them all the drinks that they want. Then suddenly you no longer allow them to drink. They will become even more perverted with that. A very small percentage will actually cure themselves, but that is a very small, minute percentage. Other people will become even more obsessed, yes, and they will probably become needy because you have created in them the idea that you are the provider, yes, toxic masculinity in this case. You are giving them the idea that you're their provider, yes, you're a pseudo provider, yes, toxic masculinity. You're controlling people by giving them things, yes. That's how narcissists also function. Love bombing. And then suddenly you are no longer given anything. You're forbidden from receiving things from others. And, well, you're going to crave that person because you fell for their point. And, well, obviously you created this comfort that they are the only one who can provide to you. Yes, and that's how some of these fetishes are craved by some people. They crave that idea of uncertainty, that someone else takes the responsibility for their life, that someone else decides for them when they will do something, or when they will have even probably an orgasm, or when they have whatever else. Some people simply enjoy this idea because they think that they are worthless. In that state, when they become comfortable with that, they become just like a zombie, or probably even less than that, because they will not even crave sustenance or things like that. They will not even think about anything. They will just love to be someone else's toy, and those people do whatever they would wish with them. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. I might talk about things like this in other videos because I don't want to talk for hours on end. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenjan Board signing out.